So, I have for you SVG's St. Vincent and the Grenadines Toronto Town Hall meeting. Many of you meet me and ask me all these questions about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the new Argyle International Airport, chartered flights for Carnival, all these questions, and some of these I don't have answers to because nobody told me. I don't know. But they had a town hall meeting. And all the VIP and people from government and came up and explained everything from the Carnival committee, everything that you want to know, all you are going to be answered. Okay, so stay with us on Kiss of Paradise. We were there, and for those of you with very short attention span and a lot to do and can't sit down for the few hours of this town hall meeting, which I think about an hour or two. Yeah, rough edit a bit because I had so many other things to do, but I'm actually going to edit a shorter version for those of you with very little attention span. I'm going to give you a 3-minute version of all the highlights and all the important questions just for you, so give me a day or two for that. So let me finish some other projects and I'll get to that. So, Town Hall meeting, SVG, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All you want to know, just stay tuned and Kiss of Paradise. Stay with us. Like and subscribe and share.
2.5 minutes ago, I told you we'll be ready in 3 minutes, so we're ready now. Good. So to start the program this afternoon, I will ask Sandra Bob to fill in for the president of the SVG TA, who is running a bit late. I'll ask Sandra to come and officially welcome the party who traveled to Toronto from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Sandra.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Diaspora here in Toronto, we always call it for meetings such as these, so it's good to see you all here. On behalf of the president of the SVGAT, I'd like to welcome our distinguished gentlemen and lady today to this event. We'd like to recognize the Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, Honorable Cecile Mackey, the CEO for the Tourism Authority, Mr. Glenn Beach, Chairman of CDC, that's the Carnival Development Committee, Mr. Ricardo Ricky Adams, the Deputy Director of the Regional Integration for the Diaspora Unit, Maxwell Charles, former Minister of Government, and the National Project Coordinator for the Caribbean with the International Organization for Migration, Ms. Natalie Henley. Thank you all for being here, and we look forward to all your presentations today.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And we move swiftly ahead and ask my friend Odell, Louis, Ewan.
Just an everlasting Father, we thank you for this day. We give you praise, we give you thanks for all your blessings on us. We thank you that you brought the gentleman here today safely, Father, and we ask that you will preside over this meeting, and we ask that whatever we do, we will not forget to honor you, because there's nothing we can do without you. Bless us all, and we thank you in Jesus' name.
Amen. We will remain standing as we have the anthems of Canada and the anthem of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We'll start first with the anthem of Canada. Members of the head table, Mrs. Honorable Cecil Mackey, Minister of Tourism, Sport and Culture, Director, CEO of the Tourism Authority, Glen Beach, Deputy Director of Redo, Maxwell Charles, Chairman of the CDC, Carnival Development Corporation, Ricardo Adams, and Representative Natalie Henley from IOM, right? Good. IOM?
International Organization for Migration.
International Organization for Migration. Now, today's meeting will take two parts, and we will start with a presentation from the IOM and from Maxwell Charles to do with the Diaspora mapping project. Then we will have presentations from, according to the program, from Honorable Cecil Mackey. He will do a broad brush report on the state of the economy in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and what we are doing. I know people are trying to settle in, but we'll continue. And what we are doing in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to move the economy forward. So he will do a sort of broad brush analysis and report. And then the Carnival Development Committee Chairman, Ricardo Adams, young and energetic man, he may dance as well during his presentation. He will tell us about Vinci Mars and what his expectations are as he plans for us boarding a flight to go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines for Carnival. And the CEO of Glen Beach will talk to us about all the plans in arranging for flights so that we can make Argyle International Airport work. We will have a very long session of questions and answers, so I hope you have a lot of questions. We don't know if we have all the answers, but if we don't, we will definitely make sure we get those answers to you. I'm sure we do have all the answers. I think by the time the presentations are done, there will be no questions really, right guys? With that said, we have a long evening and I don't want to be boring you to death. So we will move straight into the presentations and ask our representative from IOM to
Well, all protocols having been observed, good afternoon everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you and to see quite so many of you out. As was mentioned, I'm from the International Organization for Migration. I'm sure many of you might not know who we are. So I'll tell you a little bit about IOM, who we are and what we do, before continuing on. So IOM is the leading intergovernmental organization in the field of migration. We're part of the United Nations system. We have 166 member states, 8 observer states, and offices in over 100 countries. We work closely with migrant populations, government, and also intergovernmental organizations. And we're dedicated to promoting humane and orderly migration for the benefit of all. So what we do is we provide services and advice to both governments and migrant populations. We promote international cooperation solutions to migration challenges, and we assist in the search for practical solutions to migration problems. And we also provide humanitarian assistance to migrants in need, including refugees and internally displaced populations. In the Caribbean, we work across the whole gamut of migration issues. So that includes counter-trafficking, it includes smuggling of migrants, it includes immigration and border management, also disaster risk reduction, access to health services for migrant populations, and providing humanitarian support after large-scale emergencies. But a lot of what we do also focuses on remittances and diaspora engagement, because globally the Caribbean is one of the regions with the highest outward migration. Today in particular I'm here because we're currently working in partnership with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in particular the Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit, for a project which is called Mapping St. Vincent and the Grenadines Diaspora. So that's this poster that you see up here. And this project is being funded by the IOM Development Fund, which is a small development fund that we have. And the purpose of the project is to strengthen the ability of the government to better engage and dialogue with its Diaspora in order to drive the country's strategic development focus. There are a number of different components under this project, and one of the components was the creation of a website, which is this website right here, svgdiaspora.org. If you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go and have a look. It was set up as a platform to strengthen the ability of the government to better dialogue with its diaspora population. And one of the important parts of the website is a survey that you'll find. And the survey is anonymous. You can choose to enter your data should you wish to, but it's not required. And it is to get an idea of the skills and competencies of the diaspora and their possible return interest. It doesn't need to be permanent return interest. It can be for a short duration of time, or interest in supporting with virtual programs to better assist the circulation of skills. This website will be, it will continue past the duration of the project. It's something that's managed by the region now. It's very interactive in nature, so it's also designed for you if you have success stories or initiatives or photos or any information you want to share through the website, for you to reach out with the review and to see that what you feel should be on the website is indeed reflected there. In tandem with the website and with the survey that I mentioned, there's also a study which will begin very shortly in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to map the skills and competency gaps in the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society sector. And the idea is to look at the data that we get through the survey and the database that will be created in the survey and the gap assessment to see if there are any possible complementarities between the skills of the diaspora and potential return interest and the needs of the country to further its development. And based on the picture that emerges, it'll give the government a good idea in terms of possible next steps on how to leverage any of those possible complementarities. So I won't say too much more because Mr. Charles will come and tell you a little bit more about the project as well, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers. But just for now, I'll say thank you very much for your interest and for coming out today. And I hope that the website certainly proves useful for you in having a better dialogue with the government and the region in particular. Thank you very much. And just to quickly mention, we have a registration sheet at the back of the desk. Your contact information is purely optional. This is just for the donor to have an idea of the turnout at the meeting, because this meeting is also part of the project. It was to engage with people. This is taking place also in New York and in London. So Toronto was our third stop. Thank you.
As Maxwell, you ready? Yes. Yes, straight into, yes. What are you going to do, from here or? From here, okay, good.
I simply want to begin by saying that I would adopt the protocol that went before and say good afternoon, everyone. But I think there's someone. I don't know if in the congregation, it's not church. Sunday. At least I have you laughing. Is there someone in the audience by the name of Mr. England? Okay, very good. I want to add him to the protocol list for this simple reason that he was my Latin teacher in 1966 at the boys' grammar school. Amo? Mr. England, could you stand please? I want to just recognize you. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for what you have done for me during that first year in grammar school in 1966, to 1967. I wasn't the best Latin student, but it wasn't all about Latin.
Thank you.
It wasn't all about Latin. It was teaching us values, pointing the way forward for us. And I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank you for that. That's 51 years ago. Thank you so much.
I want to take a second, but thanking you for reminding me why I did what I did.
I was punished 1 or 2 times for not having a textbook, but that was all part of it. It wasn't the days when parents were against punishment. If you went home and you made a complaint, you got a second. So again, thank you so much. I want to bring you greetings from your homeland, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also greetings from the department of which I'm heading for now, Regional Integration and the Diaspora Unit. This unit has to do with, we take care of OECS matters, CARICOM matters, and also matters that relate to the diaspora. I want to congratulate your organization here for the interest that you've shown in the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The progress that you personally have made in your lives since you left the land of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And again, I want to thank you for what you have done for St. Vincent and what you're doing and what you will do. You have never forgotten your homeland, and this is very good. Give yourselves a round of applause for this. The Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit and other agencies always had a problem in identifying and locating overseas-based Vincentians, their skills, their abilities, and their talents. Over the years, our methods were basically ineffective, and we were always left guessing about the numbers in the diaspora, the level of education, the skill sets, and the willingness of the diaspora to be actively involved in the development of our homeland. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, was contacted about 2.25 years ago with a project proposal to assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines with a diaspora mapping project exercise. The method consists of participants completing an online survey by giving information regarding their skills, the education, the time in the diaspora, the relationship with the homeland, their willingness to serve and to help in the development of the homeland. This online survey can be completed without revealing your name if you choose not to give it. Confidentiality was always a barrier that prevented persons from being willing to participate in any venture of this nature. We again recognize the vital role and the contribution of IOM, International Organization for Migration. And I want to applaud the efforts of Natalie Hanley, who has been so good to us and so very helpful. So I want you to give her a round of applause. In assisting us with similar programs, she has assisted us with similar other programs throughout the Caribbean. Well, not really throughout the Caribbean, but in at least 2 territories. That is Jamaica and Guyana, the diaspora registration, online registration. Since our launch in New York and London, we've met with just limited success. And we hope that our exercise here this afternoon will even propel us further along the line of success. I will take this opportunity to encourage you to participate in this online survey. And by the way, it's very interactive. It's similar to the Facebook. You can have chats with other Vincentians, with other Vincentian organizations. You'll be able to be in contact with certain government departments in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also with our department, REDU in St. Vincent, Regional Integration and the Diaspora Unit. I must point out here, it is not that the diaspora is not involved. You are involved, whether it be in the diaspora in Europe, in Canada, in North America, in the Northern Caribbean, wherever. You are involved. I know that. You've been, as a matter of fact, you've been involved for decades. And there is always the joy of coming back home. There is always the joy and the satisfaction when you can donate and help somebody in St. Vincent. You have been involved for decades. However, this exercise is going to be more targeted in that we're going to get information and we're going to get data. This will help us to create what we call a database with your skills, your education, etc., etc. That is, persons in the diaspora. Now, when this is done, it's going to take us into phase 2 of the project. And phase 2 of the project, in parallel with the mapping exercise, a skills gap assessment will be done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What is going to happen is that we're going to hire another consultant to Vincentian to find out the needs of Vincentians. And when we find out the needs of Vincentians, we'll be able to match them with the skills that we have in the diaspora. So we are about to enter phase 2 before the end of the year. But we need to complete phase 1 very successfully before we move into phase 2. So it's going to determine where we are lacking in skills and competencies. These gaps in skills can now be matched with the existing skills in the diaspora. As I close, again I want to urge you to participate. And we have some brochures there that we'd like each person to get at least 3 or 4 of them. And we didn't bring enough jerseys, but I don't know if we're going to be shared, but we leave that up to those at the table. So I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for participating. And Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want to end this session by having any questions on this, and then we won't have to have any more questions.
If there are any immediate questions now that we can ask, then you can address them.
So Natalia will actually come back to the podium.
Take a minute.
Thank you. So, Mr. Maxwell, you were saying that the phase 2 is not going to be continued until phase 1 is completed. So, what would it take to complete phase 1?
No, well, Mr. Charles described it as a phased approach. The phase 1 will continue ad infinitum. As long as the website exists, people will register.
Okay.
But of course, it'll be more valuable to have as much information and as much data as possible. So really, I urge you to participate and take the survey online.
So is there a number that you have in mind?
There isn't a target number, but the more registrations, the better.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So again, we urge you to do it online, because you have the information right now in your hands that you can check it out.
What is the website?
The website is www.svgdiaspora.org, and there, as Mr. Charles mentioned, a number of brochures which have the website and the address. Check it out.
I think you were given one when you came in. We still have a lot.
Okay, thank you. So the IOM, I just want to know how much of this project is being funded by the IOM? I have a few questions, actually. That's one of them.
We applied, as I said, about 2.25 years ago. We wanted to do this program, and they've graciously accepted our project proposal, and they are funding it.
How much is it costing overall? Just a projection.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fairly small scale project, so the entirety, including all of the costs, come to less than $100,000 US. And that included costs not only for the setup of the website, these outreach events, the consultancy fees for the study, but also some support to the regional integration and diaspora unit for some equipment that they needed, and also the cost for the promotional materials, etc.
Okay, will this general information for Vincentians be available on the website for us to see as the diaspora? So we know where the funds are going and how it's progressing?
Certainly on the website it's mentioned that it's funded by the IOM Development Fund. The budget is not available on the website.
Okay,
That's an internal document.
That would be a suggestion.
Yes, so in other words, people of St. Vincent, the government, didn't have to put their hands in their pocket to do much.
Yeah. Number two, the information we're giving, you said that it would be confidential, so if I put my information on this survey, you won't actually see my name based on the skill sets and what I provide. Who else is privy to this information without our names? Who else is privy to it? Because it's being done in conjunction with the IOM. So I just want to find out, is the UN privy to this information, or other international organizations privy to the information we put on? Not necessarily by name, but by our general stats for St. Vincent?
So just to clarify, the site has now been handed over already to the Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit. So even I myself will not have access to your data unless the RIDU shares the reports with us. So no one other than the RIDU has access to the data. It will never be used in any disaggregated manner. And unless you choose to share your information, you will never be personally identifiable.
Okay, and finally,
Yes, and sorry, that's quite recently our department received a letter from the OECS who wants to do something very similar.
All right, that's good.
But
And
then we would not be able to share our information. So they would have to go out and get their own.
Okay. All right, thank you. And finally, in terms of outreach for the project, or phase one, have you considered the local associations across the diaspora? So not necessarily through the consulate, and thank you for being here, sir, but other local associations, the Vincentian associations that are run by citizens around the diaspora. Also the annual picnic, I can mention that one here in Canada. We have a very large annual picnic, which happens at, is it Thousand Islands? Yes. I have yet to go, but look forward to going one day. I would like to know if the phase one of the project, I'm just letting you know, you'll see me there soon though, God willing. I just want to know if phase one of the project could include outreach sites such as that, since it brings so many Vincentians together. Can we use that strategically to our advantage? Also Carnival down in St. Vincent, Easter Regatta. Can those be outreach points where we appeal to the people and promote this project? Just a suggestion.
Thank you very much. And this is, well, when we launched in England, it's really the diaspora groups that had the, I shouldn't say authority, but helped us in the outreach. But I must say that we need to do a little more as far as our organizations are concerned to get this project going. And this is why we're here this afternoon in collaboration with the other gentleman coming up from St. Vincent the Grenadines, the minister and his group.
Oh, I just thought of one more question. I'm so sorry to keep that microphone. No, there's one more. One more. Thank you, my Vincentian people. I love you. Okay, one more question. Phase 2. We're talking about phase 2. It sounds great, but knowing party politics in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when you talk about needs assessment and also meeting the needs through the diaspora, how is party lines going to affect that transition or providing the information or providing the human resource? Because historically, even though we have the human resources out there, sometimes people are limited through party lines or party politics, whatever you want to call it. I'm just letting you know that that could be, is that going to be a hindrance in this? How are we going to get over that type of hump? Reality.
Let Mr. Charles say a few words on that, but before he does, I'll say that the consultant who will carry out this research work will be an IOM consultant from our organization. It's not someone that's a government employee. So the survey will be, the study will be done apolitically, neutrally, impartially. The data will be collected in that way. The findings will be presented in that way. I think it's part of why the government wanted to work in partnership with IOM, because this is something, as was mentioned, that has been done not only in Guyana, in Jamaica, but also in Belize and in Suriname at the moment, which are all countries that have similar, sometimes political tensions. But we are a neutral, impartial UN organization. So that's what I'll say from my side.
It's a good question. What I can say in it is that when we had the first consultant, it was IOM who really chose the person. Just thrown out. And in the second phase, the same method. But of course, in everything you do in St. Vincent, somebody always tries to bring a color into it. This is us. But be assured, it is not a political question. Remember, when we get the information about people helping St. Vincent, it's something beyond politics. It's our country. And long after I am gone, or the other one, they will be St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I appeal to us, let us be Vincentians. Okay? We're a democratic country, and that's all I have to say. Okay?
So we will take the final question in this segment, and we can get back to further questions later.
My question was on confidentiality, but I think we got some answers there. Regarding the collecting of the data, I also could see why Ms. Carter's asked about the funding, because I remember the United Development Foundation, these funding have a way where it doesn't continue and then the data goes nowhere, so do you have plans to continue looking for the funding so that this program can continue? It is a good program because I don't see the confidentiality a problem of sharing the information, because it's mapping. And many, especially the students and maybe people who's looking for jobs still, can succeed by this if this information goes to different countries, etc. Because it's actually promoting your skills and so on.
Thank you for your question. So just to talk about the continuity of the funding that you had a question on. Essentially, most of the costs associated with this project will already have been borne by the time it needs to continue. So it's really only the website hosting fee, which will be a regular recurring cost, which the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has already committed to continue bearing as long as need be. In terms of building on what comes out of this, to explain a little bit about the IOM Development Fund, this is a fund which is created through the membership dues the countries pay in. So every country, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, pays annual membership fees. And certain countries, depending on their economic status, are eligible to draw down on these funds. So as long as we get project proposals from governments, we can assess them and work with them to create and define a project together. So the idea, actually, beyond this mapping exercise, is once we get sufficient data to look at how we can try and have maybe temporary return programs or some small-scale circulation of skills on a pilot kind of scheme, because remember the funds are limited, so it can't be something full-blown just yet. And if it's something that really takes, then why not work with IOM to source external donor funding for something larger scale. So the possibility of this continuing further already exists with IOM's support, and if there's sufficient uptake, then it could potentially go even further than that.
And remember, it's the diaspora. We have an obligation to our island, and we always work together, so I don't think it will die. Okay, there will always be a diaspora. Thank you.
I want to thank Rido and IOM for a sterling presentation and for the audience and some very good questions. I just want to, I know it's a town hall meeting and there will be many questions, so I just wanted to respect everyone as they try to get their questions across. Let's not be too impatient because you may well learn something from every question, okay? So let's be patient with everyone who's asking a question. But I also want to caution the persons asking questions to keep the questions concise and to the point. All right? Fair enough? Before we move on to the other members of the head table who are actually gearing and ready to go, I see Minister Mackey choking me on this side. Wow, man, I'm ready to talk. Seize, buddy, seize. I just want to recognize a few persons in the audience. Gideon Exeter, President of the SVG, could you stand and be recognized? Thank you for coming. Kenny Coombs, stand and be recognized as one of our cultural icons, leading mass man and everything else in Canada. Handsome man, you see him? Charm of the Toronto. Right, Sapit? And my cousin. We have Iwan, he came up, did the prayer. Iwan, he's a leading member in the community as well. Well, he's my go-to man. He's always willing to help. I want to thank him tremendously for a lot of support he's given me. Excuse my voice, I'm just coming out from the flu. My wife is here, Stan June. Please, everybody doesn't know. Just in case you didn't know, Miss John, Shelley John, did a lot of good work in making sure this trip is a success so far. Shelley, wave. And her husband, Ibi. Ibi is past Consul General. Handbag man. Where Ibi? Where is Ibi? Big up yourself. We have Elma Gabriel from Creamer. She brings the cream. Elma, just stand up and let people recognize you. We have Hassan Pereira from the business community. Hassan, yes. I don't want to miss anyone. So Sandra, she came up already. Raymond was embarrassed when he was told he was teaching since 1922. But he still looks 15. And all the leading members of the community groups, and particularly all my friends here, persons who went down on the trip with me and to St. Vincent for the launch. It's really a pleasure seeing so many people here today. It's the first time I've seen Torontonians fan in the winter. What's going on? It's hot in here, right? Preparing for summer, don't worry. So we'll move straight into the speeches and I'll do some more recognition of the persons later. Mansfield, could you please stand? Mansfield is also... Yeah, man, stand up, my friend. Mansfield, Assad. Mansfield, come here. Assad, from the Grenada Medical Society. He and his wife, they've done a lot of good work with the consulate in the field of medicine. I want to thank you and appreciate what you're doing for us. Thank you, Assad. I always get them mixed up. He's coming?
No,
he's not. You see? Okay, so good. Next item on the program is a presentation by the Honorable Cecil Mackey, Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture. Cec, I've known Cec since we were competing in school to see who can reach the end of the 60-meter dash. I think in a race, I think I have 100% record in my favor We ran against each other once in a 60-meter dash, and he actually saw my spikes. He finished second, says? Yeah, he saw my spikes. So I always have that as my claim to fame. But Seth has always been very strong in sport and community work. He went into politics. He was actually forced into politics. You guys should listen to some of the stories we talk about after the meetings and before you go to bed. And so just to say he was forced into politics, but he has done a very good job. He started as the Minister of Health, and he's now from 2010 to 2011, and since then he's become the Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture. Those ministries always get a lot of licks, and you would hear people say, "Oh, I don't see the Minister of Tourism." But we see him here, so we're very grateful that he's in Toronto, and he's going to be the man next on to present to us a broad overview of what is happening in the economy and what is happening in his own ministry. Honorable Cecil Mackey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, members of the head table, CEO Beach, CDC Chairperson Adams, Maxwell and Natalie from the Rideau presentation, Council General Huggins, Vincentians, friends of Vincentians, members of the media gathered here this afternoon. I want to say a very special thank you for turning out this afternoon to listen to our presentations. I reflect on a similar activity in Montreal a couple days ago, Friday to be precise, and we really commended the persons over there for literally being in our faces, and I see you in our faces now, listening very carefully to what we have to say. So I want you to put your hands together for turning out this afternoon. I bring you greetings from the Prime Minister, the government, and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are on an accelerated mission, prompted in a major way by Consul General Huggins, who sent the command that it is about time that we engage you in the diaspora.